What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and we have to talk about these patch notes. We definitely got some surprises in there, and some of this really wasn't a surprise, especially considering we're talking about Netmarble. But let's dive into it and let's see what it all entails in this little patch we're getting. Greetings, agents. We have the new native tier 3 hero has been added, which is pretty funny because it says tier 3 hero, eh? I don't know about all that, but okay. So the patch is scheduled for the 19th, so our agents can actually play as Knull, the King of Black, which is awesome. That's fantastic. If you're ready to harness his mighty powers, prepare to challenge the World Boss Legend difficulty. Various heroes with the new potential awakening in Tier 3 will be of great help in defeating Knull. Yes, we already know that. You can only use awakened characters and Tier 3 characters against Knull. And we can take a look at the something here for old Knull, and he's a super villain, which is still funny that they put tier 3 hero, which is just freaking hilarious. And we'll be able to acquire Knull by fighting against them, and once we have 10 biometrics, then we'll be able to start leveling him up. Let's take a look at this guy's kit. So of course he's a super villain, and his leader skill applies to all symbiote allies, 60% increase of all attack. Amazing leadership for your symbiotes, especially like Venom, Carnage. That would just be nuts for those two characters. However, when you're playing with Knull, I would imagine you just want to play with him and murder with him. But he has an interesting passive skill. Buff removal effect does not remove once the effect is activated. So if they have removed buffs, they can't do it to him. Once this thing activates, they can't remove this buff, which is pretty OP in itself. But then activation rate when HP is below 5%, so his HP's got to get below 5%, he gets a guard break immunity, which is kind of wacky that it's below 5%. But what's really interesting is the HP does not drop to 1 or below for 6 seconds. And then he gets a massive recovery, 75% of max HP after 6 seconds. And this is on a 120-second cooldown. And in PvE, we have 5-minute game modes and against World Boss. So you'll actually be able to use this once during that, maybe even twice if you need it, if you drop down to low health early on in the fight. This is a very, very powerful freaking effect because it pretty much means that he can't die. He won't be able to die during this. They can't remove the buff. He's going to still be alive because he's still going to have life. And he gets a freaking insane heal. This is really nuts, honestly. And then the tier 2 skill gives him increased chain hit damage by 20% when attacking. And this is where it gets real interesting. Increases additional pierce damage by 5%. So we all know pierce pretty much means that he's going to ignore all the defenses of the world boss, which means he's going to do an insane amount of damage. And he's probably going to be insane against himself just because of this. Decrease all damage received by 35%, which is always nice. Remove all, and he's got a great passive. Applies to self, remove all debuff for 12 seconds with a cooldown time of 20 seconds. This is a wonderful, wonderful passive, and we'll talk about more here in a second. His skill 1, just some text. Look at this additional damage. 1,334 physical damage. Whoa, that's a lot. He's got a skill that will continuously attack, similar to Cable's fist skill, until you move the character. And he also has a paralyze, a stun, and there's the incapacitation, which is pretty much PvP. And then he has stun, silence, and he has paralysis right here. So, and then he's got remove active buff again on his other skill, on his third skill. But here's what's even more interesting. He has enable attacking enemies who have activated the ignore targeting effect. So he has ignore iframe. Now this is on a 15-second cooldown. So I'm not really sure how he's going to be in PvP, but I'm pretty well betting this is going to be a very powerful skill. We'll have to see how this plays out in PvP, to be perfectly honest. But being on a 15-second cooldown, it might be kind of the similar problem that we have with Ghost Rider. But I don't know, with that freaking heal passive of his, it might not be the same situation. And then he has the penetration, penetrates everything for 2 seconds, which isn't as much as what I would have thought. I would have thought this would have been a higher amount of penetration. I mean, I would have thought this would have been 10 seconds or something like that for him, but okay. And he gets super armor for 5 seconds when doing this skill, but it's on a 15-second cooldown. So you're not going to have super armor up 10 seconds at a time for every other rotation, but that's okay, and we'll get talking about that why in a second. He has more paralysis, so he's got a lot of paralysis on him. He has damage accumulation based on the damage he deals. It's just plus 1% increase of all attack. And it lasts for 12 seconds, which is nuts. That means it's going to be up all the time because this is on a 9-second cooldown. That's crazy. And then he gets a massive 20% recovery of max HP heal. He does some bleed. We don't really care about that because it's useless in Marvel Future Fight. Dot effects are useless in this game. The invincibility, but he has invincibility for 6 seconds, and this is on a 9-second cooldown. So this is going to give him native super armor, and the fact that he's got a debuff in his passive actually is going to be really great, especially like you say you're taking on Thanos. Thanos has them blue balls that debuffs you. Well, since Knull can debuff that, you can still use this character with this invincibility. He's going to debuff Thanos' blue balls. Don't you wish you could debuff blue balls? I wish I could. But anyways, pretty awesome that Knull can. And then he has increased all attack and defense by 35%, and then the crit rate buff by 45%, which is great. And judging from his cooldowns, we got 9 seconds here. We got 9 seconds here, a little long, but I think he might be all right with a proc. This skill here, being on a 15-second cooldowns, we'll see how it plays out as far as how much damage. I'm thinking that the highest damaging skills are going to be down here, but we never know until we get them. And then his tier 3 looks pretty lackluster as far as the text. He does have paralysis, which is again more CC, which is awesome. But then he's got penetrate everything for 10 seconds, invincibility for 10 seconds. And remember, he's got the debuff from his passive, so he doesn't need a debuff in his tier 3. And then he's got the 30% increase of all attack, which is nice. That's awesome because that's going to buff up his other skills when you go back into your skills after doing the tier 3. Honestly, with the penetration, he's probably going to be freaking insane. This can be very misleading when we're looking at this because, seriously, guys, the pierce is probably going to make a big difference in his damage. And then we look at his tier 3. Now, his tier 3 looks okay. It's not too bad. It's kind of cool. I was kind of expecting something a little bit more, to be perfectly honest, but it's doing a lot of hits. But they always show these previews with tons of bots there, and obviously the more bots you have, the more hits it's going to deal. And being that he's doing, about 600 hits, and there's about 12 bots there, it's not as much as what I'd like to see. So we'll have to see. Again, he gets that 30% increase of all attack that's going to carry over to your skills when you go into your next rotation after you're doing your tier 3. So we will see. We will see. Sometimes looks can be deceiving. And then we get to a bit of the controversy. The native tier 3 growth material added. Nice, nice, nice. Netmarble. So what Netmarble has done is now they've gave us a CCF system like what we have with BAM. As you guys can see, you need 35 CCF to get a rank 2. You'll need 2 rank 2s to get a rank 3, and so on and so on. And then you're going to need 5 cosmic cubes to get a rank 6. You can see the gold cost. And you can see you can also dismantle them like we can with BAM as well. And 560 CCF. That means it's going to cost 560 CCF to make a rank 6 CCF, which is crazy. Now, what do I think about this? Well, I don't know. I'm not really sure what I think about it. Honestly, the game really needs to give us more ways to acquire CCF. Netmarble, you keep giving us these, now this is our second native tier 3, and it looks like this is going to be a trend. I imagine that Knull is going to be more expensive than the other future tier 3s that are going to be coming because he's Knull, right? I imagine he's going to be more expensive. But, I'm not sure how much he's going to cost because we have no idea. It doesn't say in the patch notes how much he's going to cost, how much CCF he's going to cost. And when we know that, which will be tomorrow or the day after, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But it looks like it's going to be pretty damn expensive and we're going to need a lot of CCF. Now, we can get guaranteed CCF from Knull. You can get 15 CCF whenever you fight Knull, guaranteed. And if you're lucky and he's World Boss of the Day, then maybe you can get more. Maybe get some more just by luck. The thing is, the game really does need to give us more rewards in the regular world bosses. I know a lot of people are kind of on the brink of facing Knull and fighting Knull, and I know they want to get him. They want to have him as a playable character. and they're just not able to get enough CCF. Just give them a little bit of CCF. I've talked about this multiple times before. Everybody has. Just give them more CCF. This system might not be as bad as it looks once we start. I mean, we'll have to see how much. I'm trying to be reserved here, and I'm trying to be optimistic. I want to hope that he isn't going to cost an arm and a leg, but more than likely, he's probably going to cost 3,000 to 4,000 CCF, I would imagine, to level him up completely, which is very, very expensive. But, you know, on the average, whenever I face Knull, I get about 100 CCF a day. And that's about 700 CCF a week. That's 2,800 CCF in a month. I mean, you're looking at about 6 weeks, 7 weeks of farming, maybe 5 weeks if you're really lucky, to level him up if he's around that 3,000 to 4,000 CCF range. I just don't know how much he's going to cost. And until we do know how much he's actually going to cost, that's when I'm going to give you guys a further opinion about what I think about all this. This might not be as bad as what we initially think. You know, when I first look at this, the first thing I think is, well, okay, give us more rewards. Give us more CCF. You know, if Netball was going to make it a trend where we're going to be getting native tier 3s more often, like if they start doing this crap like every update, like have a mid-month tier 3 and then have a native tier 3, then they absolutely need to increase the CCF rewards. If they're just going to throw out a native tier 3 every once in a great while, then it won't be so bad. But you need to give players more rewards in the regular world bosses. You need to give them more CCF. In all honesty, you really do, to help those players out so they're able to level up their other characters, because you need a lot of awakened characters, tier 3 characters, to take on Knull. So give them the Titan component packs, Essence of Dimension, and CCF so that they're able to do this. And this probably wouldn't seem as bad as what it really looks. But there again, until we get Knull, until we see how much CCF is actually going to cost, how much gold is actually going to cost to build him up completely, that's when we can start criticizing Netmarble for this system that they've implemented. And then we have Sif. And once again, and I'm going to complain a little bit about this, Netmarble has this freaking habit of giving us an awakened character, but with no uniform. So Sif is going to be forgotten about almost immediately. And she was pretty much, you know, one of my comments from the last live stream I did said she was already forgotten about just because of Knull. Man, that's pretty much true. But that's a damn shame. That's a damn shame, because she's a really cool character. She had a really cool look in the Thor Herald of Galactus storyline, and it's a real shame that they didn't give us that. So she's just going to be another character that's going to sit on the sidelines, and or maybe people will level her up just because they love her and because they're going to need her maybe for the story mode. And unfortunately, that's going to be about it. You can see her awakened skill, and it's pretty much the same as Valkyrie's. And this is really cool. The Power Cosmic has been added in the ability of Thor, Herald of Thunder uniform. And the World Boss Striker effect has been changed to Power Cosmic. So now Thor has the Power Cosmic tag, which is great. So when he's a striker, he's going to have that 12% damage out to supervillains and superheroes. And that's really nice that they actually did that. And it's fitting and suiting for him. So I'm really happy that they made that change. And then we have an interesting one here. The skill motions of the Valkyrie Fearless Defenders uniform has been improved. So evidently they're improving the animations of Valkyrie's uniform, which is great. We're going to have to see what they actually change after the patch, but sounds good to me. And one of the abilities of Sentry Modern Strong has been changed to Leadership. The World Boss Striker effect has been changed to Leadership. And this is pretty interesting to me because Sentry's already really damn powerful. What they did was they gave him the best support in the game, which is White Fox. So currently in the game, he has the Strong right here, and they're changing this to the Leadership tag, which is this one right here. And that's just insane. So this character that has the all defense soundness except 80%, well, that's going to go over 100%. He's going to have 100% all defense down instantly with White Fox now. I can find old girl. There she is. He's going to have that 100% all defense down because, one, her leadership's going to buff up his freaking all defense down to over 100%. And she's going to give him that 60% damage to supervillains. And if you have the new uniform, that's going to be 65%. So he's going to have even more damage in the regular war bosses because currently right now she doesn't have an awakened skill. You can't use her against Knull. But now he's just going to be freaking bonkers with this leadership. And not only that, he's also, if you got this uniform or you have the other uniform, you're also going to have this extra attack to characters that have leadership. So he's going to be freaking insane, which I think is crazy. So they just took an already powerful character and just made him way stronger with that support than what he already was. That is just crazy. Wow, wow. So wow. So I'm looking forward to Knull and seeing how much he's going to cost. I know they implemented the CCF crap, but as long as they would give us more rewards, which they currently haven't, in the regular world bosses, I don't think it would be as big a blow to the player base. I think a lot of the player base would be completely okay with it if they thought to themselves, well, you know what, I can get, regular CCF, I can get CCF often and regular world bosses, all of us that are playing Knull, we're getting CCF. So I think a lot of the players that are facing Knull probably won't think as bad about the combining CCF system, whereas the players that aren't getting steady CCF from the regular war bosses are probably going to be much more upset about it. But the truth is, Knull is an in-game character, which means that the veteran players and players that are able to clear Knull 5 times, they deserve to have a character like that. They've earned it. They've earned their stripes. They put in the work and the time. But I do think they should increase the rewards and increase the CCF drop rates in the other world bosses, so that way they can level up their tier 3 characters and level up their awakened characters and play Knull so that they can get him as a character as well. So let me know how y'all feeling about the patch notes. Let me know how y'all feeling about the combining CCF stuff. Do you think it sucks? Do you think it's okay? It's not a big deal? Or are you kind of like me where you just want to be reserved until we know exactly how much CCF Knull is going to cost? And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.